River defense is going to slide. They're way too strong and confident to just give them up.
Another defensive breakdown. Amato, good feed. Ironman scores. Why a horn? The shot clock got a horn.
It'll be just the third time all season that Notre Dame has trailed at the half.
Schellenberger over to the wing. Cormier has the all-time goals record in Division I men's lacrosse.
Welcome to the second episode of the Mitchell Pehlke Lacrosse Show presented by STX on the Lacrosse Network. Packed episode 2 for you guys, hopping into the first round of the NCAA Tournament, then talking about the quarterfinals, Mitch's mailbox where you guys send in voicemails and we're going to react to them live on set. 2 awesome interviews with Hopkins leading point scorer Jacob Angelus and Texas lacrosse standout Sterling Hupp, who just got acquired by the Boston Cannons, and then obviously finishing with a PLL Roundup. Let's dive right into it. Hoagie, what do we got?
Yeah, before we're going to start, we're going to see Miles Dubois is not on set today, but he is here in spirit.
He's got the jersey on number 9-1 for the Ducks.
The Stevens Ducks did win their first round game.
Clap it up.
But then did proceed to lose the night after, so
Miles' season, you can probably see his cleats are in the rafters right there. He's got 2 more years left, but Big Miles is going to be out for today. Just going to be the big 3. Let's dive right into it.
Yeah, so first game of the weekend, UVA Joes. UVA with a 17-11 win. I think Shelley talked about it last week. They had a great week of practice. He said they kind of reset the season, and they kind of look like the UVA in the past, in my eyes at least.
Yeah, no, I think he said it, a guy that I truly know is dedicated to the craft. And I knew they were going to peak, or not peak in May, but really turn it up. And again, that's no shy to what Virginia does in the month of May.
Yeah, it's when you see Shelley waving goodbye with 2 minutes left in the third quarter, you know that somebody else was ramping him up. I don't know the strategy behind St. Joe's talking a lot of smack during the game, but I'd say this core group's been on the brink of breaking through for a couple of years now. You know, they took Yale to the wire 2 years ago. It was cute when you were talking stuff as like the underdog, but when you have this core group and you're still talking smack to Shelley, and he comes out and does that, I don't know. Especially like as a backup goalie, stay in your lane. As a backup goalie myself, like you're supposed to get your sideline jazzed up. You're not supposed to give Schellenberger any juice.
Like, do you think it's okay to talk to a guy that good? Like, you know, truthfully, like a guy that's that good who could potentially be one of the greats when this thing's all said and done. Like at the college level, can you still talk trash to a guy like that?
I mean, I think the only time I'm not a talking trash kind of guy myself. I never talk trash. But if I would, I think you do it after the game, not to a 4-time first-team All-American mid-game at Klockner. I don't know.
4 years. I've never seen Shelley wave goodbye to anybody.
I know.
Clearly, there was extra motivation there. And especially, you saw the backup goal. Again, it just angered me. The backup goalie was talking smack. You're supposed to get your sideline juiced up, and you talk smack to someone that gets decked out of bounds. You do not talk smack to the other team during a timeout.
Yeah,
I thought that was crazy.
It is crazy.
Also, stick to your roots, but it was weird.
Yeah, no doubt. But obviously, no shy. You know, UVA came out rolling. It just looks like what you said, the typical UVA team. Big shout out to Peyton Cormier. 8 goals, set the NCAA goal record just past Mac O'Keefe. Big shout out to Peyton. Again, didn't get drafted in the first round. I'm going to keep coming back to that because I truly think that's big.
I still can't believe that. And now he's on the Atlas with Shelley, so he ended up reuniting.
So
with
we got the big 3 back. We got Slim Reaper, we got Shelley, and Cormier. We're going to see that. I mean, I'm thinking right now Chris Gray might get the bump, but who knows?
Yeah, well, Chris Gray's on the Redwood.
He's a Redwood.
Yeah, Redwood.
Teat, but it's even scarier. It's Teat, which like you're not going to take Teat off the attack line, but playing with another Canadian is going to do wonders for him. Xander out of the box. But here's my conspiracy theory. What if Peyton Cormier was like, look, I'm not playing in the PLL this summer. I'm playing box unless I'm only playing with Connor Schellenberger. So every team was like, we can't draft him. He's not going to play. And then all of a sudden, the Atlas was like, we got Shelley, and Cormier's like, okay, I'll play this summer.
Yeah.
That's my tinfoil cap.
As a coach for Atlas, like, you know, you're looking at your stat board and you're like, okay, we've seen what the duo's done. We obviously see the record that just got beaten. We pick him up and we make this happen. And I think it's going to be interesting to see, and I think it's going to happen. They're going to make some way to happen. I don't know if Peyton's going to be great out of the box. They'll have to switch up some guys, but I think we're going to see that duo this summer.
Yeah, New York Cavaliers now. They got like the Maryland Whips.
The
New York Cavaliers
seriously,
now. The UVA Cats all on Atlas.
Yeah, and the only thing that really makes sense, I think, in the Cormier thing is obviously he's not elite as like an outside scorer or as a off the dodge. You're basically, if you put him at attack, you're asking them to double the pulls because short stick DMs in the PLL can cover Cormier on the crease.
Definitely.
So you're going to double the midfield. That's the only reason I really could understand a team passing on him. But I mean, it's just insane to think that there was 32 people drafted over the best scorer in NCAA history.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And I think one of the coolest aspects, or in my opinion, I know we talked about this at Ohio State, pop up the roster picture of James Hogan at Ohio State and the roster picture of Peyton Cormier. They look identical. Body types, face, they look identical.
They've been calling me and Cormier twins for years now. Now it's going to be popped up on the screen. We've been saying it for a while.
I love that. But hopping in the next game. You're looking at it. You're looking at it.
What do you think,
It's
dude?
crazy.
It's crazy.
It's an underrated take.
It's crazy.
It's really an underrated take. But talk us through that stat that we see.
Yeah, no, that stat's wild. So over the last 20 NCAA tournaments, Virginia has 5 national championships. Big Ten's at 4, Ivy 1, Big East 1, Patriot League 1. That's a wild stat.
That's a wild stat. You know, a team has more than a conference in the last 20 years. It just shows how dominant.
And they had those down years in the early 2010s where they didn't win a game.
What are you thinking?
No, well, because I'm thinking, like, does that count Hopkins before Hopkins was in the Big Ten?
They said
hate that.
Yeah.
Do not like that.
Yeah.
That I don't like that.
Yeah.
That shouldn't count.
You think so? Because I think it
Really?
I think it should.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's a good debate.
You're saying it should be whatever conference they were in when they won?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Correct. I don't think the
that's
Big Ten
tough.
can claim a title that they didn't have. Like
Yeah.
it's almost like if the Big Ten will be like, all right, we're going to take all of Southern California's college football championships
Yeah.
because now they're a Big Ten school.
Yeah,
It doesn't make sense. Yeah, makes
you're right.
That's
You're
true.
right. You're
That's
right.
true.
You're right. I like that. But the stat, and I think a thing that's underestimating, and obviously Pops played at UVA, and I've been watching the squad as a young buck. I think the underrated aspect is the AD, whoever made the choice when Dom Starks' time was done to pick up a coach like Lars and just keep it going, if not accelerate it more with the trajectory of the Who's. Like I think that's such underrated, and Lars is such a great coach. I know we talked about it last week with Shelley, but I'm again obviously long on Lars, and I think he's going to go down as one of the best to ever do it.
Yeah, I think it was last year. I said if he wins one more national championship, like if he won it this year, in my eyes, in my lifetime, and like I don't give a damn about the history books.
Yeah.
He's the best coach in college lacrosse history for my money.
No, I just think
Like-
in recent memory.
Right.
No, I'm trying to think like he's definitely going to be up there with the greats.
Right, and I think it's harder nowadays to like kind of build a dynasty out of like lacrosse because obviously Tierney owned the 90s.
Yeah.
Right now he'll go down as the greatest, but
Yeah.
what Lars did, and I completely agree with you that you have to have some big balls to fire Starja, and then you have to nail that next hire.
Yeah, exactly.
And they nailed that next hire.
Nailed it. And it's honestly like, again, I don't know who exactly made the call, AD assistant, but like that pick, like that's an enormous pick that, you know, a lot of schools are not making the right choice.
Yeah, so what is Lars now? 2 in championships? Danowski has 3. Tills has 2.
Tills is 2, yeah.
And then I think then it would be
Lars has
after
2.
that.
Yeah.
Lars has 2, right?
Yeah.
So Lars is already creeping at the top of the sport.
Yeah.
You know, bringing Brown to a Final Four like he did.
Yep, with
before
Malloy and
UVA. I
everything.
think that's just a tough call, like what you said with the AD.
Yeah.
Dom's a legend, and
Yeah.
a lot of other schools have had that choice with Syracuse and Hopkins, like make a tough decision.
Yeah.
But it's like, do you make the decision when things are going bad, or like do you make the decision like, you know what, Lars is like the next great coach. Like maybe I could have give Dom 2 more years, but it's like if I don't make this change now,
someone's going to
someone's
see that.
taking
Yeah.
Lars.
Yeah.
And that might segue into Dukes' Fire Bresci train that he's
Are we
on.
still on that, or did time settle?
Firmly. Firm. I mean, the fact that his seat's not even on like the seat warmers up and like people are defending him for what?
He beat Duke.
People forget he beat Duke.
He beat Duke.
Yeah,
He beat
raise
Duke.
the banner.
He beat Duke.
That's
Raise the banner.
unserious program. if that's the expectations, unserious program.
Well, that's a good segue into the Duke game. Duke 19 over Utah 7. Initial thoughts. I think it was just steamroll.
I mean, this is
we
what we
saw
said.
coming.
Mitch tried to say it was going to be close last week.
Did I though?
Me and Dukes called.
Roll it back.
I called bloodbath within 10 seconds of you saying it was an interesting matchup. And we got a bloodbath.
Yeah. No,
That's
I mean,
podcasting. You just forget what you said.
Yeah,
You're like-
literally, because you're filming so much. But obviously, no surprise there. Duke steamrolling them. Zawada with 8 points. Is that a steal? Zawada 8 points, have been killing it. Obviously, continued to kill it, or killed it in the past at Michigan. Continues to kill it here at Duke. Zawada got drafted in the 3rd round at the 19th pick to the Outlaws. The Outlaws, Did they win the draft? I know we
said
kind of
it-
talked
I said
about
it
it last
week. I said, my opinion, the Outlaws won the draft in terms of depth and players that I think can play in this league. And Zawada, again, I think he's going to be one of those stars that kind of went late in the round.
Yeah.
He's going to be a mainstay in the
And
league
he's a
for
guy
years.
that I truly think in the PLL, if you're a diverse attackman midi can play both, your stock's way higher.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that them choosing to not go with Shelley, getting an ex-attackman like Zawada to play with his teammate and line mate in Brendan O'Neill, I think it was a great pickup.
Yeah,
great value.
Absolutely. You know, Dyson Williams, big shout out. 5 goals. They'll obviously play Maryland in the next round. More into that a little bit later. Denver over Michigan, 16-11.
Everyone was on Michigan, but me and Mitch.
I know. Come on. The
Well,
two
yeah,
guys-
half the podcast.
That's the first Denver
Everybody.
tournament win since 2018. Their first 20
that's
wins
pretty
since
crazy.
2018.
That's wild.
A big shout out to Coach Brown for getting his first playoff win as a head coach. Long on Denver as well. But they look good. I think they're the sneaky program in the quarterfinals this next round. I feel like a lot of people are looking over them in that next game versus Syracuse. You know, when Pick'ems comes up here in the show here soon, that's going to be one of those games where I'm going to have to make a game time decision. I don't know who I'm picking yet.
Yeah, I'm 50-50 on that game, too, and we'll get into it in a little bit. I think the thing with Denver is you kind of don't see them on national TV. They're not in the big conference.
Yeah.
They don't play the ESPN games every week. So you kind of forget about them past, like, February. But then in the same time, everyone in February is like, I can't take February lacrosse serious because there's always a wild upset.
And you really can't. You know, one thing we learned at Ohio State is a loss in February does not define the squad.
But I think that squad's kind of been building. I mean, we obviously played them in our college careers at Ohio State, and we watched them. I feel like since their last tournament berth before this, they've kind of been building each year and year, and they've been getting better. And I think they have a core group of guys who've been there. You know, when you talk about Stillstrops, Thakis, all that kind of stuff, and Brown kind of kept the culture there. It was almost like the easy transition to head coach. Nothing really changed.
Yeah, nothing really changed. And I was there in the fall. I did a whole deep dive on the Denver lacrosse program, doing facilities, interviewing coaches, interviewing players, and the guys were so bought in. You know, that's a school you look at from the outside, not big football, you know, not the biggest school in a great area. Lacrosse, I don't want to say is the sport. I mean, obviously it's hockey, but lacrosse is a big number 2. Those guys are all bought in. A lot of those guys came back for their 5th year. And I just think they're the underrated squad going into this next game, in this next round of quarterfinals. That's what I'm saying. The Denver versus Syracuse game next week, I don't know who I'm picking yet for pick'ems.
Yeah, I don't know either. But Denver style of play, like they're big, they're strong. Richie Connell kind of like.
I love that.
He's
Big Diesel.
Yeah, he epitomizes that team. AJ Mercurio.
I mean, let's say Richie going from X 10 times and you're on defense long pole. How many times are you stripping him?
Dude, I don't think he wants that MCLA smoke. I mean,
Dayton Club Lacrosse.
Yeah,
folks.
he
Do
doesn't
not forget the roots.
He doesn't want that chicken strip.
I love that. Next game, Maryland over Princeton. This was the big game we were talking about last week. Maryland 16, Princeton 8. What are our thoughts?
Yeah, no, I think everyone was on Princeton. They're the hottest team, and this is 0 for 2 now on the hot teams. We're talking about Michigan and Princeton. I mentioned it last week. I said, what did I think the key was to Princeton's run? And it was McMeekin at the faceoff X. And I said, Maryland has Luke Weirman that they can lean on, who's been a mainstay for years now. Luke Weirman was dominant. I'm pretty sure he was just under 80% in this game.
Yeah.
And that proved to be the difference. But I also think moving Spanos down to attack and running Erks out of the box, this Maryland team looks like a different Maryland team. I know it's only one game and it's in the tournament, which is you can't say anything because all season it's been kind of blah from Maryland.
Yeah.
But they look like Maryland.
Yeah. No, I think it's interesting. And I think that's a good point. Obviously, with Erks' injury last week, we don't exactly know why the switch was made. But moving him up to midi, putting Spanos at attack where he played at Malvern Prep, you know, Pehlke said it on the broadcast, but these guys are way more comfortable in the position that they played their whole entire lives.
Yeah. And I think that it was also just a piss poor day for Michael Gianforco.
Yeah.
I'm definitely botched that. Is that an Italian name?
Yeah, it's Italian.
The pouring rain didn't help.
Yeah, I tough day to play a bad game, but he's, All-American, very good goalie.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think
insurmountable lead.
I said this last episode, but Virginia and Maryland in May, it's like you can't, you just can't count them out. I think, whatever the record says, I know we kind of had the Maryland Final Four here in the beginning, but those teams just like their stock 10Xs in May. And those teams are obviously going out. Next week's game is potentially one of the biggest, Duke versus Maryland. I don't even know who I'm picking yet for that.
Yeah, so do you guys think that this week's results with the Michigan and Princeton losing was more like Michigan and Princeton, we just over-evaluated them because of the conference tournament runs ahead, or is it like Maryland and UVA being like, we're the Blue Bloods, we're the Powers, we know what it's like in May. Like, I don't care what our record is during the regular season. Like, we show up and play in May.
Right. I think for the Michigan game, in my opinion, both these games, it was slow starts.
Yeah, definitely.
Bad goaltending that kind of led to slow starts. Probably a little bit of just recency bias, in my opinion. But again, didn't last year Michigan, my memory serves correct, Michigan was hot in the tournament and they won a tournament game.
They beat Cornell in the
beat
first
Cornell,
round.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's two ways you could look at it. I think the biggest winner from this weekend was the committee.
Yeah.
The committee, nobody.
What was her name again?
Donna?
Yeah,
Dude.
clap it up for Donna real
Dude,
quick. I mean, it's just
Donna, the Ivy League's only putting in one team. We spent 30 minutes last episode talking about did anybody in the Ivy get snubbed? Nobody got snubbed.
Yeah, nobody got
snubbed.
I know we talked about, Cornell or Yale or Penn
Right.
being the first teams out, but I think this was the right call, and then they got all 16 correct.
Right, and I mean, just Princeton getting smacked kind of solidified that there should only be one Ivy team.
Yeah, definitely. And walk us through that stat. That stat could be one of the craziest stats I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, so Maryland and Princeton have played 7 times under Tills. Maryland's 7-0 and 5-0 since 2015. Princeton has never led even for a second in any of the games, which is one of the wildest stats I've ever seen.
It's crazy. Maryland comes out of the gate firing, and they've never led. In here, it says Maryland has led since 6 or 9 seconds in the game. It's crazy.
What were you doing in 2015?
2015.
He was a young 15-year-old, probably trying to get his first kiss.
2015. Is that 8th grade?
What?
It's 9th, I think.
Was it 9th grade?
Yeah. He was just a young little guy from Ridgewood.
Yeah, 9th grade.
Trying to make
grade.
his debut, maybe find a wife.
Yeah, I was a freshman in high school.
Making varsity, kicking for the Ridgewood football team. What were you doing in 2015? How old were you?
Junior in high school? It's crazy to think about. That's the last. I didn't have my license probably the last time.
I didn't have my license.
The last.
We committed to Ohio State.
We were committed to Ohio State.
That's insane.
That's
more
crazier.
crazy.
Oh, gosh.
Princeton.
I know.
Just get 1 second. Just
I know, 1 second.
1 second. We
Big
can stop
shout
this.
out to Coach Mads and that boys for wrapping up a great season. Moving in to yesterday's games. The Hopkins-Lehigh game was one that we thought was going to be a little bit sneaky. Hopkins comes out on top 13 over Lehigh 10, and we'll hear a little voicemail about that here later on Mitch's mailbox.
Yeah, no, I think that was just an interesting game in terms of Lehigh kind of plays that slow offense. So I think a lot of people are going to be like, Hopkins barely beat Lehigh, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
You know when we play the game, when another team speeds it up, it kind of forces you to speed it up and vice versa. They had double weather delays, which we had at Hop last year too.
Yeah.
If you remember. I think the big key in flipping this game was Logan Callahan, who's the starting faceoff guy for Hopkins, was getting killed by Sean Dow early. The lightning delay hit. They switched to Tyler Dunn, and Tyler Dunn dominated the rest of the way, which really kind of flipped that game. My one head scratcher, though, Lehigh took a 10-9 lead. End of the fourth with about 6 minutes to go. Ended up Hopkins going on a 4-1 to finish, but Lehigh runs a 10-man ride with 2 minutes left in the game, leaves the net open. Basically, if you give up a goal there, the game's over. I think you play the possession out.
Yeah, you have to.
When
the scores like that and the times like that, you got to play the possession out. But how about Lehigh? I've never seen this before. Lehigh scores, and in the middle of the shot, the air horn goes off for the weather delay, and the goal didn't count. What are our thoughts on a call like that?
It's probably the right call.
Yeah, but
I
if
hate
Hopkins
that
is shooting that, and the guy there is probably I don't want to say he's a homer, but is he blowing the whistle that quick?
So I heard from people that were watching it. I didn't hear it. Allegedly, someone out there might have heard it, but someone was being like, "You got to blow the horn. You got to blow the horn. You got to blow the horn."
Oh,
someone was saying that, and then they blew it. The goal happened. It's unfortunate. Yeah. I'm just happy that it didn't come down to the difference in the game.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
it kind of also probably fired Lehigh up a little bit coming out of that, and probably gave them a little extra juice.
To me, I don't want to downplay Lightning here, but we got lacrosse.
Cue it up.
Wait till a dead ball, please,
I know.
to blow a whistle.
I'm a nice guy, and I hope nobody
I understand
gets
it's your job. I understand lightning's a big thing. We don't want to get anyone struck out there, but you can't wait 10 seconds till he probably sailed that thing over the cage, Pehlke style, and then you can blow the horn.
Yeah, it's tough. And I don't want to reiterate on the past, but we were playing Cornell the first round of the playoffs. We were up, lightning delay. Cornell ends up winning. I'm not going to say we should do something about it because I don't think we can, but not a big fan.
Yeah, but we had a 2-hour lightning delay at Hopkins last year. I remember I'm sitting with Garrett and
first of all, the Hopkins facilities for a 2-hour lightning delay, I mean, it's terrible. I just want to say that.
You think
flat
it was
out.
terrible?
Dude, the facilities are from the 1860s.
Dude,
what do you mean?
They gave us like 4 locker rooms. We all had our own area. Me, Garrett, Super eating animal crackers and Rice Krispies on the floor.
That's a difference. That's a difference.
Where were you during this? Were you in the small room?
I was probably watching film, getting better.
No, you weren't. We were in the big room.
I love that. All right, we'll keep it going. Virginia obviously plays Hopkins next week. Georgetown over Penn State. This was the game for all of us that we thought Penn State was going to win. Hoagie and I picked Penn State. I think a lot of us did, but Georgetown came out on top, 12 over Penn State with 9. Walk me through that. What were your initial thoughts on that game? Obviously, Penn State kind of coming out hot.
Yeah, Penn State was up 7-2, outscored 10-2 the rest of the way.
Yep.
I think it's just, you see the juice that Coach Warren brings on
Oh
the
my God,
sideline.
dude.
That guy's the man.
I said
the
it before.
myth,
I'll
the
say it
legend.
again. The funniest head lacrosse coach at the Division I level, and I think has the best swag.
Did you see
Always
his
got a new pair of
Allen
J's.
Iverson, old
Yeah,
like
it's just
2000 elite
he's just
shirt?
drip. He's a kid from Long Island, just knowing how to recruit and get it done. But are they the frauds?
I mean, Dukes will say
Dukes?
they're frauds. I don't think they're going to win next
And guess
week.
what? We're one game away from Mitch Pehlke getting the manscape out and teeing up Dukes right here. Are you
Yeah.
nervous?
No.
Notre Dame
Not
versus
even the
Georgetown.
slightest.
Not in the slightest.
Because there's no guard on the manscape. We're getting like bald.
Notre Dame already lost to Georgetown. They are way better than when they played.
It's a different ball. I mean,
I just don't think it. Notre Dame's evolution at the midfield position and how deep they are, I think, is going to be crucial in this run. Obviously, Georgetown played awesome yesterday. Their young guys stepped up, but there's never any doubt in my mind. I think Notre Dame's going to win by like 6.
I'm really kind of stuck on the Penn State stuff here, though.
I know.
Like, I really thought that was a team that would at least win this game and then give it a shot, give it their all against Notre Dame, especially after what happened last year and
Yep.
a lot of those guys back.
Yeah.
I didn't really see them going out like this, to be completely
Yeah,
honest.
I thought at least, Final
It was
Four
just such a joke. That's what I'm trying to. That's what I was trying to allude to. I guess is the Michigan game, right? Like Michigan and Princeton too started off so slow, and you saw the same thing. Like, okay, Georgetown starts off slow, but the fact that they were able to come back, I just still can't believe Penn State lost. I had them.
Yeah.
I just can't wrap my head around
And
it.
James Ball is a big key there.
Yeah.
The
Right.
Garden City kid. The
Garden
GCG.
City kid.
Garden
Yeah,
City
yeah.
Grit. Don't forget about it. We might need to get some T-shirts going on that. James Ball out. Left the game. Leg injury. It's a big question mark for next week. Obviously, going up against Notre Dame. That's going to be a huge deciding factor on who gets the
I mean,
W.
I think you look at face-off wise. There's two ways teams to it. You either have your guy like your Stathakis, your Weirman, your Wheatfeld, who takes literally every draw, and then
Yeah.
you look at the stat sheet, and the next kid's got like 6 face-offs from like garbage minutes.
Yeah.
Or you see teams who have 2 kids who've taken 150 face-offs, kind of even. Maybe one's taking 170, one's taking 130, but
Yeah.
even. James Ball's taken over 300 face-offs this
Yeah.
year. The second best behind him was like 28 or 29 face-offs.
I know.
So
Especially
there's
playing
you
a
got a
big
kid
quarterfinal
coming in a
game, too.
quarterfinal game who has had no experience all year. This is a huge
Yeah.
question mark, and you're playing Notre Dame. So
Yeah.
James Ball, you need him. I think he's 8th in the country right now,
Yeah.
like 60%. That's a huge question mark. If he doesn't play, it might be a bloodbath early,
Yeah.
and Dukes
Yeah.
might be saved from the manscape.
I also think that like when you have an advantage at the goalie position
Yeah.
and the face-off position,
Yeah, it's
I
game
think Will Lynch is one of the best face-off.
Yeah,
guys.
Oh,
definitely.
absolutely,
Definitely.
yeah.
Yeah.
It would be a great battle if it's Ball and Lynch.
Right. And like even if it was Ball, I'm taking Will Lynch. I'm taking Will
Yeah,
Lynch over
yeah.
Ball.
Yeah,
and
no,
two
if I'm-
Chaminade kids,
Yeah.
2 Long Island kids. Like I'll take Lynch.
I love
but-
that. And if I'm Warren, I'm telling Ball, just, hey, rest up. You're not practicing at all this week.
Right.
I think that's the biggest determining factor for this game.
Do you think there's any advantage? I know just to the fact that Notre Dame has already lost, that they'll bring more juice to this game rather than going
I
in
feel like it's a whole
blind.
different world
I think
because it's
this-
a quarterfinal game.
I think this time of year, it's not really like getting revenge on the other team. I think it's more like where you're trying to get back to championship weekend. We're laser focused. And I know we'll segue in next to the Notre Dame game, but they totally did not take Albany seriously. Corrigan's going to light a fire on them this
Yeah.
week for sure.
Absolutely.
I think they're going to come out humming.
Yeah.
This
And I
weekend.
think before we move on, Georgetown's been to the 3rd straight quarterfinals in the last 4 years. Haven't made it past that loss. Last year they lost to UVA.
Yeah,
That was a big take by Dukes. The manscape. I'll put that thing on the charger. Notre Dame over Albany, 14-9. This was a surprising one out of the gate. The halftime score, Albany led 5-4. Were we getting nervous at all?
No, never
if
got
anybody
Yeah.
was nervous, they
Yeah.
weren't there for the Detroit Mercy Notre Dame game. That was Notre Dame's like sweat game.
Yeah, that's one where
2013.
Obviously you could just tell like it just maybe took a little bit more for the Cavs and that whole squad to get it rolling. A big shout out to Pat Cav and Chris, both having 5 points leading the Irish. But after that second half, we saw the Notre Dame team, that we've seen the past year.
Yeah, I think for Notre Dame, it's the typical game when you're the big favorite.
Yeah.
You kind of overlook the first round. I didn't expect it to be this close, but I did expect Albany to put up a bit of a fight. I knew Scott Maher, he probably told them pregame, do behind the back, shovels, anything you guys want, do it. Like they were going to play loose and free.
Yeah.
So I did expect it to not be like 20-4.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if you're Notre Dame, I think it's not concerning. I think it's concerning for the other teams now because this was Notre Dame's hiccup game. Or you want them to lay this egg next week.
Yeah.
And they're not going to do it now.
Yeah, they're not going to
Yeah,
do it
and
now.
Entenmann didn't even play his best game.
Yeah.
Scary hours.
Yeah.
I mean, that 3-minute unreleasable, though, ban that. I think that the 3 minutes is way too.
Yeah, it should be definitely capped at 2.
Well,
for
they
sure.
can
If you bring out like a machete or a gun, that's the only time you should ever have the 3
If you
minute.
RKO somebody, you should have a
if you
3
call
minute.
a big
Anything
foul-
besides that, it should be 2.
If you call a big foul, I'm all good with that. But they can go and review and call like a 1 minute and then go like up it to 3 minutes.
That was insane.
Like, how can you just go on footage on replay and be like, he did do that? Like, then we're critiquing every foul at that point.
Yeah, I mean,
No Jacob Angelus highlights.
That's Dukes' boy.
I love that. We might need to do. You know what we might need to do?
Goalie challenge.
We might need to do goalie challenge. Yeah.
Break the bread.
Yeah. PLL training camp. We'll see
No,
you
because
soon.
I got so much heat last week for just critiquing Jake Pacino. So now I got to be like, where's the highlight?
Dukes is gonna
He
break
did-
his ankle again.
Hey, did you see the Pacino Schellenberger highlight?
Yeah, I saw that.
We've all seen it.
Yeah.
We've seen it 20,000
quote
times.
from Dukes? You can't do over the head checks in the PLL.
You can do over the head checks in the PLL. I just
Steven
don't.
Zubicic will have one.
Wait,
this
when
year,
you
mark my
rely
words.
on that as your main cause turnover,
that's a problem.
That's
and
not-
like
and
everyone,
that's coming from a Dayton Club lacrosse defenseman.
right? Someone that loves throwing the overhead. No, I hate over the head checks. I think when you rely on it, it's really dumb. But when your trick's out of the bag and everyone kind of knows what your main move is as a defender,
Yeah, I'm tucking that thing and I'm saying bye.
Right.
It's gonna be exciting though to watch him at the next level. The last game, the Syracuse versus Towson game, a game that I ended up going with Syracuse, but I thought Towson could win that because this quarterfinal game, if they won, was be at Johnny Unitas, but Syracuse over Towson.
Another
20-15.
one. Towson led a half, just like the one before.
I know. I was watching that game obviously live. Towson led 9-8 going into halftime. Were we nervous about that?
I thought complete different reaction. I was like, Towson's got this.
Yeah,
They're
I
gonna-
had the same thought.
I thought Towson was going to be able to stick around too. And Syracuse has been known to get upset at the Dome. They lost to Bryant in the first round game years back.
Yeah, remember that? I remember
so I
Army
was like,
too.
This could happen. But Syracuse kind of gave the response that you want in this game, coming out with a 9-0 start in the second half. That's kind of what you want coming out of the locker room.
Yeah.
And I think the big thing that we need to talk about is Will Mark in net.
Yeah.
He had 0 saves in the first quarter. Towson scored 6 goals in their first 6 shots. He got yanked the game prior against Duke. Is that a problem, you think, Duke's moving forward? Mark not seeing the ball maybe as well as he had been all year?
I think that if your All-American goalie is playing in May at any time, you just have to ride that out.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the time to get.
I agree. You're going to ride him out, but does it concern you?
Oh, just him in general?
Yeah.
Gary Gate,
Obviously,
if
you're going to ride him out.
Yeah.
Put on your Gary Gate hat on right now and talk to us like we're Will.
Well, I'll put my suit on.
Yeah, put your suit, get the hair slicked back.
I'll be like, Will, you got to play your best ball in May. I just think.
And there's no question. I think we talked about it last time
Yeah.
with Shelley on here, the Nunes-Morris debate at UVA. Like, if I'm Lars, I'm just going to Nunes and I'm just stating, hey, you're our guy. We're going to go with you. We know we kind of had some issues in the past, but, like, you're our guy in May. We want you to have that confidence.
No, 100%. You can't let Will Mark have any doubt that he's not the guy.
Yeah,
If he has any doubt in practice, like looking over his shoulder, that's a recipe for disaster. That's bad coaching.
Yeah.
It's coaching malpractice.
Yeah,
to be
and
honest.
especially those specialty positions. Me as a face-off guy, like I know, like
Hell yeah.
when you're on a short leash, when you're like, I'm 1 for 3 right now. If I go 1 for 4, I'm yanked.
Yeah.
That's not a good mindset. You
Yeah.
need your coach to be like, look,
Pump
we're
you up.
riding you out right now.
Yeah.
And it's all because it changes mentally when you know, like, all right, no matter what, good play, bad play,
Yeah.
I'm still going to be in there.
I'm big into the regression to the mean. So if Will Mark,
Regression to the mean. Look at that, folks.
you like
Professor
that?
Duke.
Professor Duke.
So, like-
Professor
so-
Dayton
Duke.
University, son.
Yeah, University of Dayton.
Yeah. I'll hit one. I'll hit a single.
But like Hunter Taylor the other week, right? Big Ten championship had an 80% save percentage.
Yeah.
Seen 80% save percentage goalie? No. So I was like, he's probably not going to play as well. Played worse than I thought.
Yeah.
And then this is the same thing. Like if Will Mark isn't playing his best ball the last 2 games, I'm going to expect him to start like playing up to his potential. He also played way better in the second half.
That's true.
Second
That
half
is
he
very
came
true.
on.
That is very true. And the broadcaster said this stat, and I want to see if you guys know this. How many of the Syracuse players have played in an NCAA or won an NCAA game? Do you know?
I'm gonna say
One.
none.
I'm going to say
Does
3.
Stevens count like the Princeton kids?
yeah.
Yeah.
So then Stevens, English, that's 2.
I'm going to guess.
Mason Cohn is 3 at Tufts.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It was 3. It was 3.
3.
It's
Yeah.
pretty
Those
crazy,
3.
though.
So it was no actual Syracuse player.
Yeah, none.
It was the 3 transfers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I thought Towson had a chance.
Yeah, that's
Because
what I was going
the
through.
exact
Young squad.
The exact reason why I picked Towson was like they're going to muck it up. They're going to be gritty. Like they had nothing to lose in this game. Playing a young team backs against the wall in the NCAA tournament. That's why Syracuse really impressed me.
Yeah.
Like a team that could get punched in the face and respond, especially a young, talented team like Syracuse. I used to be like a 𝐂𝐄 hater in a way.
Really?
Not a hater.
I feel like every kid when they're growing up either loves like 𝐂𝐄𝐄 or UVA, and it's kind of something you fade out of if you're not like from the area.
Right, and in 𝐂𝐄's New York kid, I always was like more of a Notre Dame guy.
Yeah.
But I hated 𝐂𝐄's. Let me tell you, Syracuse has been one of the most pleasant watches all year for me.
Yeah.
I find myself rooting for them in random games. Syracuse is a bunch of fun this year. I think they're their Final Four good.
We'll get into that in a little
folks.
bit.
Yeah, we'll get into the pick'ems there. But that obviously wraps up last week's first round game. Again, 𝐂𝐄 will take on Denver in the second round. Let's talk about the quarterfinal preview in games to come. First game, Notre Dame versus Georgetown. Overall thoughts?
Yeah, Notre Dame, Georgia. I mean, it's Notre Dame's only loss, right?
Yeah.
And it's the only team that beat them. You can joke about Georgetown all you want, say they're not good, blah, blah, blah. They're the only team that beat them, and they won.
Yeah.
Do I think they're going to do it again? No. But at the same time, they had beat them. They've been in this position. So has Notre Dame. But, it's not like you're rolling out there fresh in the quarters. They've been 3 or 4 in the quarters. Kevin Warren is a great coach. They're going to slow it down again defensively, I think, like they did last time. And if Notre Dame doesn't bring their A game, I don't know. I like I said, I still think Notre Dame, but
It's going to be real
they've
interesting.
done it once.
It's hard to beat a team twice?
It is hard to beat a team
It's
twice.
hard to beat a team
Yeah, I
twice.
think Notre Dame smacks them.
Really?
think so?
Flat
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
Give us a final score real quick.
13-7.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah.
13-7.
Interesting.
I-
And then the Duke-Maryland game. That's one of those. I mean, these games are obviously getting better and better, and this week it's going to be hard to do pick'ems, and we're going to do that here shortly. But the Duke versus Maryland game, again, Maryland's, both of these teams are really turning up here in May. What are our general thoughts here?
To me, this is what I want to call a culture game.
Oh, V.
A
Professor
culture game.
V.
I want to call it a culture game.
Culture
because
game.
I think Duke and UVA
Talk to us,
all
Jasper.
year. I mean, Duke and Maryland all year have been up and down.
Yeah.
They show up one week, they don't show up the
Yeah.
next week. At this time of year in May, they've both been there.
Yep.
The Maryland kids have a national championship. Duke played in the national championship last year. They have the experience, both teams. So you kind of throw the experience factor out there. Tills versus Dino, 2 of the best coaches of all time.
Yep.
Throw that out there.
Yeah.
To me, this is a game where it's who shows up, who wants it, and which culture is stronger wins this game for me.
Definitely. And I think, too, again, Duke, Maryland, UVA, kind of 3 similar teams throughout the year, up and down. You never really know which team you're going to get. Who ends up showing out, this upcoming Saturday is obviously going to be the determining factor who gets the dub. Hampstead, New York, do we like that play? I mean, do we put that into factor with these 2 teams obviously coming from Maryland and North
Danowski
Carolina?
is a Long Island guy.
Yeah.
It's
know.
a Long Island homecoming. St. Ansford is going to be out popping.
Oh, I know. That's what I'm.
I'll
that's
be
why-
there. I'll be boots on the ground. Come on.
Boots on the ground.
Yeah.
Don't forget Duke's 2 zeros. That's going to be an exciting one. And then rolling into the Sunday games this next week. Virginia versus Hopkins. Hopkins beat UVA earlier in the year. We'll obviously get to the Jacob Angelus interview here in a second and ask him that question. General thoughts on that game?
Yeah, no, I think that's another amazing game. Hopkins, Virginia. I think it's 2 different teams right now. Hopkins, I think there's a bit of a question mark. They didn't really wow you against Lehigh, and then their last 2 outings, obviously a loss to Michigan, scoring 7 goals, and then they beat Maryland in the regular season finale, but again, only scored 7 goals.
Yeah.
And UVA kind of, any doubts that I think people had on UVA, they might have shut up real quick with how they played Saturday. They just looked like the old UVA to me.
Yeah, they lost to really good teams.
Yeah.
Their losses were to good teams. It wasn't 4 in a row, and it was like, wow, how did they lose that one?
Yeah.
It's just they lost to good teams. Not to show my hand, but I will. I like Virginia in this one.
Yeah.
If you told me that I picked Johns Hopkins over this core Virginia team in May, I'd be like, why'd I ever?
Yeah.
I'm not. It's not
You'd
the time to
already
get
shave
cute.
your head.
Yeah, it's not time to get cute. I think Virginia is the play here.
Yeah, and I think this last game, the Denver 𝐂𝐄 game, where it's definitely the game on the list that's getting the least hype for sure, I think. Just with Denver not being a team, from out west, the Big East, this and that, that's going to be a sleeper game. Again, a young Syracuse team with more of a vet Denver team. Again, all those fifth years coming back. Matt Brown's first year. Do we think that has any play into it?
No, I think this is just going to be, honestly, the most underrated game, like you said, but I think it could be the best game and the closest game in terms of like score and all that stuff. I think this is huge. It's two teams. It's two blue bloods. I'm going to call Denver a blue blood. I think they've got to that status. This is two blue bloods who are hungry. Denver hasn't been to a Final Four or championship weekend since 2017.
Yep.
Syracuse, believe it or not, has not been to championship weekend since 2013, if you can imagine that, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So these are two teams that are hungry, two blue bloods. I think the Syracuse faithful and alums are going to pack Towson. So I think it's going to be tougher for that standpoint, but I think it's two teams who are hungry to get back to championship weekend, who've tasted it, who have proud alumni bases. I think it's going to be a battle. I think that's going to be the closest game of the weekend.
Yeah, no, I'm excited
That's
for that.
my favorite game of the weekend to watch.
I think that's going to be a gritty one. And like you said, I think it's going to be one of the close ones of this weekend. But let's roll right into pick'ems.
So we got, after week 1 standings, the official standings, we got Mitch and Hoagie at 7-1.
The two Italians, 7-1, sitting at first place.
Flexing the muscles.
First loss, Penn State.
Both losses to Penn State.
I thought I was going to go 8-0. I was real confident in myself.
Me too. We got Miles sitting there at 5-3, respectable.
His losses, Michigan, Princeton, and Penn State. And then Duke's 4-4 at last place.
We have controversy with the Maryland pick.
Yeah, we got controversy.
It's crazy that you guys are giving
Can we talk about the controversy?
It's insane.
Tell the fans exactly what happened.
I was on the wave.
Tell the fans exactly what happened.
I was on the wave.
I picked.
What stands?
Wait. I was on the wave to give Duke's Maryland, and Mitch shot
Don't
it
be playing the
down.
nice guy card.
Yeah,
it's
insane behavior. You
Tell
guys
the fans what happened.
The fans can run back the footage.
I took Maryland
live on set,
and then I said, "Do I have to lock it in right now?" You guys said yes. I said, "Okay, maybe I'll switch to Princeton." Switch to Princeton, which is fine.
Live on set,
and then
then I texted all these cats, hey, "What are your picks? I need to lock them in."
No, you said one of the picks from the show.
From the show,
and I gave you Maryland because I'm running through the picks. I said I was going to switch it, and I put Maryland.
You said live last on the show.
I think that's crazy.
That counts
crazy
as an L.
behavior.
That counts as an L. And right now, Duke's in last place, 4-4. His loss is Princeton,
Woke
Michigan,
the bear.
Penn State. Woke the bear, folks. Woke the bear. Hey, the Manscaped's charging. We'll see next week. I'm excited. Pick'ems. Let's dive into this week. And again, for you guys to get involved in Pick'ems, download the PLL app. Go inside. Make your picks. The winner at the end of the tournament will win an STX, PLL, and TLL bundle, gloves, shafts, a customized PLL jersey, and a TLN hat. Super excited for that. Pick'ems for this week from our cast. Miles locked them in. They're going to be on the screen right now. Dukes, you want to take us away first?
Notre Dame is beating Georgetown.
Yep.
Duke is beating Maryland. Virginia is beating Hopkins. Syracuse is beating Denver.
It's good picks. For me, I got Notre Dame over Georgetown. I'm taking the Terps over Duke. Give me Maryland all day. I think Duke's not going to show up. I think Maryland's going to play well. So I'm taking Notre Dame, Maryland. I'm taking Virginia. I got to roll with Virginia. And then this game I'm so tough on. I want to take Denver so bad, and I know I'm going to be so mad when they somehow win, and I didn't, but I'm going to take Syracuse. And I had to pick Maryland. I can't have the ACC tournament in the final championship weekend. Can't do that. As a Big Ten guy.
Absolutely.
So I'm going Notre Dame, Maryland, Virginia, Syracuse.
Okay. I'm right there with you. I'm going Notre Dame. I think it's hard to beat a team twice. I think for the Duke versus Maryland game, I think the Danowski, Long Island, half the Duke squad, St. Anthony's guys, that's going to play a factor, but I'm a Maryland guy through and through. I'm a Terp. Shout out to the one and only 3-7, Danny Maltz. And that whole squad, obviously very, very familiar with those boys. The Hopkins-Virginia game, again, it's hard to beat a team twice, but I'm going with that Virginia squad. Again, these teams in May are crazy. And then the Denver versus Syracuse game.
This one's such a hard one.
This one's very hard.
I wanted to take Denver all week, but I just can't. I can't go against Cuse.
Yeah, I'm going to say...
You going to break the trend, or are we going to twin again for the second round?
Who'd you pick?
I picked Syracuse.
I'm going to go Denver. I'm my own self. And obviously, for the podcast listeners, Miles' picks were Notre Dame, Maryland, UVA, and Syracuse.
So Miles had the same as me.
Yeah. So it's going to be exciting. And again, join the Pick'ems Challenge to win all this crazy gear from STX, PLL, and TLN. Let's hop into our first interview with Hopkins leading scorer, Jacob Angelus. First interview of the day, we got Jacob Angelus, Hopkins leading scorer. Let's clap it up for Anjo in the building. First off, Anjo, you see the sign. What are our initial thoughts? If you can't read it, who's more back, Cuse, or Hopkins?
I mean, you see all that stuff everywhere, but I'll go with Hopkins. I'll go with my guys.
Obviously, I was there in the fall, and we kind of had this little debate. Was there ever any doubt for you guys this upcoming year?
No, I mean never. We have confidence in all our guys. We're a senior class strong, and we've always had confidence in these guys and all 6 of you guys in the locker room. So there's never a doubt, and we believe in each other, and we're happy to have another week together.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's up, Jacob? You guys obviously 5-0 regular season, Big Ten champs, second straight quarterfinal in a row for you guys. How have you guys kind of been able to bring Hopkins back to like that standard over the last 2 years?
It's a lot of internal focus, I think, and it's just a lot of belief in our guys and our system and our coaches, and we try not to listen to the outside noise and just go week by week and day by day with practice. So it's been great. We've developed a strong relationship between classes, and I think that's a big part of it. And we're just happy. We're happy to keep moving on.
Do you know the last time Hopkins made championship weekend? Do you know what year it was?
2015. I
There it
believe.
is. There it is.
Yeah.
The kid knows his stats. You guys haven't made championship weekend since 2015. What does this group mean, to get back there? And you as a captain, what have you been telling the guys this whole season?
Yeah, I mean it's something that we're focused on, and we obviously want to accomplish. But like I said, it's week by week, and that's the end goal. And we have a picture of the link in our locker room, and we look at it every time we walk out to practice. So, it's the end goal, and we're fighting every week for it.
Yeah, and excited for this next game matchup against UVA. They say in sports it's hard to beat a team twice. What are our general thoughts, obviously coming off a big win against Lehigh, going into playing UVA in the quarterfinals?
For sure, they're a great team. They're we had a great fight with them early in the year, and they're gonna come out strong. They always play well in May, and we have a long week to get ready for them. So we're excited. It's gonna be a fun game, and yeah.
Yeah, for Coach Milliman, obviously Coach Milliman has kind of been the big resurgence for Hopkins lacrosse. What's kind of one key thing that Coach Milliman does that kind of gets you guys ready to play and prepare each week, and kind of give the fans a little bit about who Coach Milliman is and kind of what he does as a coach for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say he's a very player's coach, and, he wants us to lead. He wants us to be in control of this thing. And I think that's a great trait of a coach, and he's allowed us to just be ourselves, and we're not really restricted. And, he's going to coach us. He's going to get into us when he has to. But, at the end of the day, it's on us, and he really emphasizes that. And, he lets us do our thing. And, when we need help, we'll go to him and obviously our assistants. But, yeah, I mean, I'd say he's a very player-led coach, and, we love that about him.
We see the juice Coach K brings on social media. He actually recruited me when he was at Ohio State. Describe him for all the fans out there.
He's like a walking Red Bull. That guy is
Quote of the day. I love that.
Walking Red Bull.
That guy is just always he's always bringing it every single day. Like there is not a single day where he is not bringing energy.
Yeah.
And we need it. And it's a part of our team. It's a part of our DNA. And he's a big part of our success. And we love him, and he'll bring it every day. And he'll let you hear it if you're not bringing it. So
yeah, I love that.
Love that
and when I was there in the fall, he was in the weight room with you guys, getting a sweat on the bench press, talking trash. Like, what type of coach has he been to you, and obviously helped your program?
Yeah, I mean, me and him we've had a good and weird relationship. We're on two different sides of the ball. He's always giving me crap, and I'll give it back to him sometimes. But we love him. He's always bringing it, and he's a great coach. I think that's what a lot of people sometimes don't realize. This guy's a genius, and he's led our defense to a great season.
Yeah,
and, I believe they're the best defense in the country.
I love that. And
yeah,
Hopkins over Lehigh, your ankle breaker was all over. Can you walk us through the move there? What did we really do? I mean, give us the Anjo special here. Describe it for us.
Yeah, I mean, I came off a pick and got the short stick. And sometimes when I get the short stick, I like to make it seem like I'm slowing it down. Then I'll just attack right away, kind of catch him off guard. And the field was a little slippery yesterday with all the rain delays. So I think I got him on the hockey stop. And once I got him, I saw some space in front of the net and just took my chance.
Bingo,
was
right
able to
there.
get in
Are we
front of the
talking
net.
any trash out there? Just a kid from Northern Virginia?
A little bit.
What are we saying? Give us an Anjo line real quick.
Gosh. I mean, I'm not one to initiate, really. I think some more Canadians do most of the initiating.
That's very on par.
You know, I'll have their back whenever whatever gets down and dirty. But just, you know, a couple of you sucks. Who are you? You know,
Yeah, I love that.
Nothing too
Typical
crazy.
stuff.
I like that.
I won't say the bad stuff, but
yeah,
you know, it's just the Canadians are the one initiating, and I'm just more there to mediate.
yeah. Obviously, Hopkins being one of the longest running teams, most national championships. What's your favorite Hopkins lacrosse tradition?
Yeah, I think I said it on in your
Yeah.
documentary. I love Sammy's. Love going to Sammy's with the guys. That's definitely my favorite. Going there pregame, it's just always something you look forward to. Great food. Sammy's an awesome guy. You met him.
Yep.
You know.
Guy, great Italian food. As a fifth year, though, are you kind of getting sick of it?
Yeah. I actually, every time we go there, like me and Garrett, we're just like
Here we
I
go
love
again.
this place. I love the food, but like I don't know if I can eat 2 chicken parms tonight before the game. You know?
Yeah. No, I love that. I love that.
Yeah, it's awesome though.
Yeah, so last week we had Shelly on, and we asked Shelly if you could bring back one past player from your career at Hopkins who's not on the team this year and bring him and add him to this year's team. Who are you taking?
That I've played with.
Yeah, that you've played with.
Ooh, I think it's Alex Mazzone, our LSMD guy last year. That guy was unbelievable.
Interesting. What about a guy like Josh Kearson?
We'd love to have Josh Kearson in the locker
The
room.
Kickstart legend.
Oh yeah.
Jacob, what's going on? Dukes here. I want to ask you, I've just always wondered this watching Hopkins games. How depressing is it when you know that you're about to lose and you hear the band play? Like when you see a loss is coming and you hear the band, you're just like, fuck, like just shut up, like read the room.
I mean, it's like, you know, we love the band and it's awesome. You know, it's awesome when you're winning.
Yeah,
Yeah, obviously when you're losing, I don't know if we've only lost, I think, 1 game on Homewood this year. So it hasn't been, I think, too depressing when you hear it. And it was an overtime to Denver.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Hopkins coming back is huge for the band.
Yeah.
Because during the dark ages, when it would be like 13-3, and you're just like hearing the bands as they score the third goal.
The worst was when you're losing and then like someone scores on you and they cue the band and start doing this.
Oh,
The band's always playing, though.
The band's
It's
always playing.
The COVID year, I remember they played it on the speakers because they couldn't be in the stands.
Yeah, that was one of the worst. Side note quote on that. Hopkins, let's just say big win on a Saturday. You guys are going out, having a couple of adult beverages if you're above the age. Are we getting any of the band members out to like the Hopkins Lax House?
I'm actually not sure. I know some of the band members are actually like TAs of some of the guys.
Okay.
So
Like, have we ever got a late night trumpet play?
That would be sick.
no, we haven't.
We might need to cue that up.
Queuing it up at midnight.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
I love that.
That's actually a great idea.
And then my last question is, obviously you had 2 rain delays yesterday. Having the home locker room, what's your go-to move to beat the rain delay?
Yeah, what
Are
are
you
you
on your
doing?
phone? You playing actively?
No, I don't go on my phone. I think so. You know, we have some guys that like to stay juiced up. It's only like 30 minutes, so it's like, you know, you don't want to get too juiced up, but you kind of want to stay calm. But a group of us yesterday, we went into the film room, our big film room, and we were kind of just like telling riddles and jokes and just kind of keeping the room light and you know, just staying loose. Nothing too crazy. But I think some guys stay in the locker room, just listen to like hardcore EDM, which I don't know if I'm doing, but you know, some of the meatheads are doing that.
We know who would have been doing that on Ohio State.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys have those guys too.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Jacob, thanks again for coming on. Best of luck in this next game against UVA. You know, obviously rooting for you. Quick break in between the interviews. We want to let you guys know the TLN shop is live. TLN's got merch, and the new collegiate collection is out now. T-shirts, sweatshirts, hats for UVA, Syracuse, Maryland, and all the big lacrosse schools is now live. Shop.thelacrossenetwork.com. Use code MPLS for 10% off and get your merch game up this summer. Next interview, we got Sterling Hupp in recent news. Just got done playing Texas MCLA lacrosse and then just got claimed by the Boston Cannons. Sterling, how we doing?
I'm great. How are y'all?
Good. Excited to dive in here. Let's start, with your roots growing up in Texas. What was lacrosse like playing in Austin?
I had a blast growing up playing. I started in first grade. Obviously, probably not quite as competitive as over East, but still some talent hidden throughout Texas, and I really enjoyed my time playing. So
yeah, and kind of talk about your upbringing a little bit with going to Lake Travis, and then obviously what was the club ball like, and obviously big football player down there as well.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Lake Travis, Texas. Grew up playing primarily football and lacrosse. In the Lake Travis area, football is a huge deal there. It's kind of a cultural thing where on Friday nights the whole town kind of goes to the football games, and the sport itself is just so much emphasis on it. Gets some national attention. So a lot of emphasis on football in the off seasons in the summer. So I spent a lot of time doing that. In the springs I'd play lacrosse. And I loved both equally, but definitely football took a lot more time than lacrosse did growing up. So
definitely. And did you grow up playing summer lacrosse at all, or kind of talk us about that?
Yeah, so I didn't play any summer lacrosse. I'd done maybe a camp or two every few years, but I was primarily doing some off-season football stuff, a lot of 7-on-7, super big here in Texas. So we do tournaments every other weekend, and had our off-season lifting program. So that was primarily what I was doing in the summers.
Definitely. And then going to UT, did we try to walk onto the football team? Did we see any interest there?
Yeah, so I my freshman year I saw a walk-on tryout, and I was like, I'll give this a shot. Could be fun. I had a good tryout, but they tried out as a receiver. That's what I played in high school, and they already had so many on the roster, so many talented guys that they're like, we don't really need you. So yeah, I'm ended up not working out, but I'm glad it did, because then I got to really pursue and get better at lacrosse.
Yeah, and the Texas lacrosse program, MCLA, is big. You guys were number 2 going into the tournament down there in Round Rock. Talk to us about your experience playing Texas lacrosse.
Oh, it was great. Some of the most fun I've ever had playing sports, for sure. The growth and development of the program was something super cool to see, because it was still treated somewhat seriously when I got here, but with Coach Hartzell coming in and all these really, really talented transfers coming, we really kind of developed the program into something more serious, and everybody's skill level on the team drastically improved. So it's been great. It's been cool to be a part of something that's kind of bigger than yourself, and developing the program. And it's a program that hopes to go D1 one day. So me and my current teammates are super happy to be able to contribute to making that happen one day, hopefully.
And what's it like getting coached by a legendary pro player like Kyle Hartzell?
Yeah, it's amazing. His wealth of knowledge is just incredible. With, I don't know, it's 17 years he played pro or something like that. It's just, you learn a lot of stuff that you just never think you'd learn about lacrosse, and got only good things to say about him.
Yeah, absolutely. And the MCLA tournament was just this past week, right? You guys were at Round Rock going in the number 2 seed. You guys had an undefeated year and got upset by UCSB. Walk us through the tournament. I was obviously down there, making a video about the whole tournament. Let me tell you what, MCLA lacrosse is serious. You hear, it's a beer league, this and that. This is serious lacrosse. And again, I would love to see more MCLA versus D3, potentially D1 teams.
Yeah, it's competitive in the tournament, definitely. Intensity's taken up a notch by all teams. It's super hot in Round Rock this time of year. It's like low to mid 90s and really, really humid. So everybody's super tired. It's a lot harder to think when it's that hot out. So anything can go anyway, typically. So
definitely. And big shout out to BYU for winning it. Average age on that team was 25, but they did take the mission trip. And fun fact, I was obviously down there, made the video. 44% of the BYU team is married.
That's crazy.
Yeah. What do you like? Are we bending the knee soon out of you two? Really?
No.
Wait a minute. But,
Dukes.
TLN went down to Austin to see, the rivalry game between you guys and Texas A&M. Can you describe that rivalry and how that atmosphere was?
Yeah, I mean, that atmosphere was great. I think that's the most people I've ever played a lacrosse game in front of, just because of how well it's been promoted on social media and just the growth that Texas has had, and also combined with we only had like 3 home games this year. So a lot of people in Austin are really backing the UT lacrosse team, and that's kind of their college team that they like to watch now.
Yeah.
But yeah, A&M's got, I mean, I know a few kids from my high school that are there. All the kids on the team that are from Texas know kids that are there. So it gets a little chippy, some fun chirps, and yeah, A&M's a great program. They're continuing to improve as well. They've got some great athletes there.
Yeah, no, it's exciting to see. Obviously, I was at Liberty in April, doing a whole deep dive on that MCLA team. They're at the top of the list with facilities, the way their programs run and everything. They have the locker room, they have facility, they have the training room, they have an indoor. They don't pay any money. It's essentially like if you make the team, you're on it, and it's like a Division I program. But for you guys, it's more of traditional club lacrosse where you have to pay to play, and the only really amenity you guys have is the field. Do you think there's a lack of facilities at the MCLA level?
I would say so. I mean, I think that UT is definitely way better off than most MCLA programs. We do have our own weight room, which is nice. And we have our own field, but yeah, we don't have a locker room. And I do think that can be a limiting factor sometimes to some programs. It'd be nice to have some of that, but at the end of the day, I mean, we're still getting to practice as much as we need to practice, and having our own field. Our field's beautiful. It's super, super nice. So having that, I think, is most important.
Yeah, no, exciting. Let's switch gears to the PLL aspect. You just got claimed by the Boston Cannons. Walk us through that process of losing in the tournament for MCLA and then getting the call to be a part of the Cannons here in training camp coming up. Walk us through that whole process, how you got the call from Coach Holman.
Yeah, so Coach Holman sent me, I had heard that there might be some interest just through Coach Hartzell a few weeks before. And then I guess it was 2 days after our loss, I got a text from Coach Holman saying that they were going to pick me up the supplemental draft, and I'd get on a call with him, and he found out more about me. He's a typical kind of coach to meeting a player phone call. And
what was that like?
Super excited. It was awesome. I mean, he was just asking about my background, similar to what we're talking about here.
Yeah. Any weird questions? Like, what do you like? Anything weird?
No, I don't think there's anything weird. Nothing that I could recall that was weird, but
okay.
Everything was pretty smooth, and wasn't too long of a conversation, but just excited to get out there.
Yeah. And so how that looks like is you obviously got the call, you got a spot at training camp, and essentially you have to show your worth up there in Albany. And obviously if you play well, you make the roster. Is that how the timeline goes?
Yes. So it's 30 guys on the tryout roster, and then they keep 25 of them. So that's kind of the simplest form of it.
Yeah.
You got anything? Sterling, MCLA guy myself. I played D2, University of Dayton.
Let's go.
Yeah. I just want to
legends.
You could thank me later for paving the way for MCLA players. If the 2020 season wasn't cut short, I would have been the first one claimed by the PLL. Just want to get that straight. But going into the year, did you think there was like a realistic goal, like, hey, I could play in the PLL? Or did you think your career in lacrosse was ending at the end of this year?
Yeah, that's a great question. That was something I actually was thinking about yesterday. I would not have thought, like even probably 3 months ago, if you told me this, I would have thought you were crazy, because I applied to dental school. I got into dental school. That's what I was kind of focusing on going into the fall. And I was like, okay, I'm going to enjoy my last season, like keep working hard, try my best. And then I started playing pretty well. And then Coach Hartzell had a conversation. He was like, hey, would you be interested? And I was like, yes. And then ended up sending some tape to Coach Holman, and things worked out. So it's definitely been a whirlwind and super kind of almost unexpected at first, but I'm glad it's happened. It's been a great experience for me.
Look, I've always said that the MCLA has so much talent. Coming from Long Island, I truly believe that the talent at the MCLA level is kind of diminished. And I'm happy to see you doing this in the PLL. I just got to ask you personally, in your 4 or 5 years, however long you were at UT, what was the best team that you played that you thought had the most talent?
It's a good question. I would say.
Was it the 25-year-olds? Because that's just an age thing.
25-year-old.
They didn't play him. They didn't play him.
We played them one time my sophomore year, and I think that's the only time we played them. We upset them. That was like probably our biggest upset in program history at the time. So I might go with them for number one.
BYU.
Or Georgia Tech last year was really good too.
Georgia Tech. How sick is that? Georgia Tech versus Texas lacrosse. Like, that's just sick
Yeah,
saying.
like I got St. Thomas and like Montana State. I was throwing ding-dongs over them. I looked like Jake Vicino out there.
So, Sterling, what's the rundown on those games, kind of traveling when you guys go play an away team like that? Is it weekend stuff? Is it one game? You guys, hotels, buses, flying? Like, kind of walk us through, like, a weekend playing club.
Yeah, so Texas is pretty well funded. I mean, we've got a pretty extensive donor base, just from alumni. They're super helpful when it comes to like paying for stuff like trips. We also have a really big youth tournament we host in Austin. It's like Austin's biggest youth lacrosse tournament. And it's mainly like Texas, pretty much all Texas teams come, like youth ones and high school ones come and play in it. And that generates us a lot of money to be able to travel. We fly out to anything that's like out of the state. We'll usually fly to, I mean, unless it's like a neighboring state like Oklahoma. But when we're within state, we're all taking a charter bus. Out of state, we're flying, staying in hotels, taking charter buses in out of state. So, I mean, I definitely think that for an MCLA team, they treat us well when it comes to travel.
I got two more for you.
Okay.
Besides Texas, what's a school that has club lacrosse that you think could thrive at the D1 level?
Ooh. I think like a Florida would be a good team to go D1.
Yeah, that'd be sick. Florida or any of those West Coast, USC, UCLA.
Yeah, any of those teams, any team on either coast, I think would be good because I know they've got a lot of talent on the coast, and I think that they've got some big brands, and it'd be easy for travel for them. I don't know. That's just kind of what I would guess.
And yeah, Florida at the women's level, they're
crazy.
turning into a wagon.
Yeah.
So you're a football guy, right? Lake Travis, good program, powerhouse. There's a famous football player on your Texas football team. His name's Arch Manning, royalty. If he played club lax, where would you have him play?
Oh, like what position?
Yeah, you got Arch Manning on the club lacrosse team. What position is he
I already
playing?
got my position.
I got mine, too.
Probably put him at attack. Like we
Yeah?
distribute.
Really? Distributor? Ex-Dodger? What is he?
Yeah, we'll
shooter?
see. We get the stick in his hands for a few weeks or months maybe and see what he can do. But
I love that.
I don't know. Where would y'all put him?
I think a little midfield.
I was
got
going to
crazy.
say, like, mid, like Sergio Perkovic kind of thing for
just
me.
down the field.
Just downhill
dodging. I'm not
dodging
seeing
a
him play
cannon.
any defense. I could tell you that flat out.
Yeah, I don't
if he's
think
getting
I
back
am
in the
either,
hole,
but-
we're icing him.
I got a crazy one. I was gonna say goalie.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Dude,
okay.
Just
So
another wild take. 2 zeros. Don't
yeah,
forget.
I think quarterbacks happen to like want the pressure. They want the attention on them. So if you put that in the goalie, there's no bigger pressure than playing goalie.
That's true.
All eyes are on you.
That's true.
You fail more than you succeed. Passing the ball, clearing. I think he'd be good in there. His big body.
He's a big cat.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to
Yeah.
see. Well, Sterling, man, best of luck in the Trout up there in Albany, rooting for you. And thanks again for coming on the show.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. It was great.
Big shout out to Sterling for coming on. Don't forget, TLN's releasing the Texas Lacrosse doc this upcoming Tuesday. Stay tuned for that. We're hopping in to the first aspect of Mitch's mailbox on the show. Last week, we told you guys to call 646-820-6251. Leave a voicemail of your wildest lacrosse take, and we're playing them live here. If you guys want your voicemail to be heard, call in, and you'll hear your voicemail next episode, on episode 3. Let's dive in with the first voicemail of the lacrosse
We
world.
haven't heard these.
No one has. No one has. Producer Matt's teeing them up, so I'm excited to dive in. Again, all three of us blind reactions.
What's up, Mitch, Dukes, Miles, and
Young Buck.
Hoagie? My hot take is I think Notre Dame will have the most dominant tournament run of all time. I don't think that Duke or even UVA, after their skid will even be able to rival Notre Dame and what
Okay.
they're able to do in the tournament.
Interesting.
They just have too many great players at the most important positions. So I think Notre Dame will have the most dominant tournament run of all time.
Initial thoughts. I mean, I would say coming into the tournament, I would say the same thing, but does it shake you up with the first game?
Yeah, the first game wasn't as dominant as we think. I think you have to kind of look at what dominant means. Like, I think if they win the national championship, but they beat every game. Is he saying, like, they're going to play Georgetown, win by 8, then they play whoever in the semi, Maryland in the semi, win by 8? Like, is that what he's
If they
saying?
win every game by 5+, I would like to see who has won a tournament winning every game by 5+.
They're getting compared to that Maryland 22 team.
Yeah.
The conversation is getting louder and louder.
Yeah, again, this wouldn't even be that big of a debate if they just took care of business in overtime against Georgetown. Now, I know that's a big what if, but if you start looking back at like some scores, I don't know if Maryland's doing what Notre Dame did to the
I really
ACC.
like that Maryland team.
I know. I mean, we obviously played against the Maryland team.
And, you know,
Jared Bernhardt is
and you
without
had
a doubt the craziest athlete I've ever been able to play against or be on the same field with. I'll never forget, that guy did a question mark dodge going up to the left, switching to his right. I think he jumped like 4 feet in the air. Jumped over our defender.
And I guess that's a debate for another day because
Yeah.
Notre Dame still got to finish business
so
here. And they did lose a game.
We'll keep that going
So we'll
next
keep that
episode,
going.
I think. But I think it's too early to tell, I think, generally. What do we think?
I think you can't even tell, honestly, until the championship weekend, I mean, because no shade on Georgetown, but
Yeah.
I think if they beat Georgetown by 6 or 7, like, that was expected. And, like, I think it's going to come down to championship weekend. If they go and dominate an ACC or a Big Ten team back-to-back on a Saturday, Monday thing, win both by 5+, like Duke said, then I think we can really talk about it. But I think people are expecting them to dominate Georgetown this weekend.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting.
It's tough. It's tough. I mean, when you look back at what Maryland did in 22, they beat Virginia first round by 9.
Wow.
Then they beat Princeton by 5.
Okay.
Cornell by 2.
That Cornell game was a lot worse than it was. We were
We
were on the field for that game.
I would say that the final score, it was all Maryland.
It was like 9-3. I want to say they scored 3 late goals at the end. Yeah. So whose hand was that? Do you remember?
I think it was like DeMayo,
or maybe Roman
Puglisi.
Puglisi. He was playing through it. You could tell they had tired legs out there. They, those guys battled all game. But we were there. That Maryland team, and I want to have this debate. We'll have this down the line once this all shakes out. But me and you kind of, I don't want to say we saw them live, played against them, and then
they
a lot of our
waxed us.
filming that summer was around Maryland.
Yeah, we did a deep dive into their house and the way they lived.
So we kind of saw that background on them. Yeah, I mean those guys were wired and dialed.
They were the most dialed. And again, like 2 back-to-back Tewaaraton winners on the same team, Wisnauskas and Bernhardt. Like
that team didn't even have Bernhardt either. The 22
They
team.
didn't have Bernhardt.
Like the year before.
Oh, that's right.
Bernhardt last game was when they lost to UVA.
Yes, that's
that
right.
was
But still, I mean, just you have to.
That
give,
was
like,
with
Bernie
Keegan
his flowers.
Keegan Con and yeah.
Right. Just such a dominant team. Looking back at it, I mean, and I even misspoke. They had Vermont in the first round, Virginia in the quarters. Vermont 21-5.
Wow.
And what was that? The only year that UVA didn't make a championship weekend in the last like 5+ years.
It's crazy to think about. But yeah, it'll be tough to have the most dominant run. I think that when you look at, if you look at the last like 2 months, you could maybe make the argument for what Notre Dame's been able to do against the
Especially
second
the ACC tourney.
You're looking at the second, third, and fourth teams, and it's like Syracuse played Notre Dame the best.
Yeah.
They've been dominant over the top
I guess
4.
to answer your question, time will tell, we'll see.
Right.
Obviously, the first round game didn't go in that dominant fashion that you thought. I think they're going to have more domination, but I think, honestly, like I said, it's championship weekend to me. I'm not saying they aren't going to dominate Georgetown next week, but it's more some people think that's going to happen. So I don't think if they go and beat Georgetown next week by 6 or 7 goals, I don't think it's like, all right, there it is, dominant. Like, I think we want to see it on the main stage.
Yeah.
And like you said, like we know in lacrosse and championship weekend, anything can happen in those 3 days.
Back to back would be
sick.
Yeah, and you're talking about the same core of players.
Like, I haven't seen it since Duke.
Yeah, and you could kind of say
that's
the Virginia
dominant run. Are we talking run or are we talking team? Because Maryland had that dominant run. They undefeated, lost the championship to Virginia, then went undefeated and won the year prior.
Yeah.
This year but they didn't get it done twice. So Notre Dame would get it done back to back.
Yeah, I think you're looking at a 2-year run. There's no one's been better.
So we're going run over team.
Yeah, I mean, even in Notre Dame's down year, they gave and when they missed the tournament, they gave Maryland their best game.
Yeah, the overtime. Maryland won that game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exciting. Time will tell. I think to wrap up that one, let's go into voice one number 2.
All right, hear me out. Maryland over Princeton. I know people aren't really anticipating it, but Maryland, Final Four, and then your boy, Maryland national champs. I think they got it.
Interesting. Okay. Before the Princeton game, I wasn't too sure on that call. But after the Princeton game, again, the team we just saw this past weekend, the question's not out. I think they're almost an automatic lock for the Final Four. For a national championship, the percentage, their stock has definitely rose after the Princeton
You're putting them at a lock over Duke. Did you just use the L word?
Look, I'm just an Italian from Northern Virginia right outside UMD. I think I'm saying that.
L word. Wow.
What are you saying?
That's a lot of heat.
What are you saying?
I don't think they can match up with Duke, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah. I think Ajax versus Brennan is maybe the most intriguing matchup of the weekend, but
I think maybe the whole year.
yeah, you're really saying, I think, honestly, when it comes down to it, who do I have more faith in? The guys over at Maryland, and really that was the most impressive game of the season, right? I also think that Jamison, the Duke goalie, the freshman, he has so much pressure because any game you're ending Brennan O'Neal's legacy. And if Brennan O'Neal wins a national championship, you could maybe not college accolades, but in a 4-year run, gold medal, MVP to Wharton, national championship, you're looking at maybe the most impressive resume entering pros.
Tim Tebow, college numbers.
I like what this guy's kind of saying. Like, me and you obviously both had Maryland over Princeton last week. That came true, and we both picked Maryland now to make it to the Final Four. And, besides last year, I think we forget Maryland's been in championship weekend basically every single year. Like, you can literally write them with a Sharpie that they're going to championship weekend. I think the key here, when you look at the bracket breakdown, is if they beat Duke, they don't play Notre Dame till the last game.
Yeah.
So they would get to play the winner of Hopkins and Virginia in the semifinal round.
Yep.
We're predicting Virginia to get through, but even Hopkins, if they gone through, both those teams have had face-off issues all year, and this kind of plays back into Luke Weirman's strength.
Yeah.
If they can win that game and then win the semifinal game, you take a whack at Notre Dame on Championship Monday.
Yeah.
They got the experience. You never know what happens.
I
think it's a wild take, but I don't think it's crazy wild.
Yeah. No, not Albany making it to the championship weekend, but I kind of like it. I don't know what my man's name. If you leave a voicemail next time, put your name.
I'm taking the Terps to go to championship weekend. We already stamped it in. But.
That's okay.
All right.
I
think it's him. He's got the Garden City, the Long Island.
It's never St. Anthony's, but I do think.
See, Army of Mitch doing a Dukes and Miles last week, being Michigan, Princeton, are we now jumping on the Maryland bandwagon?
Are we speaking too early?
Yeah. Right. I think it might be a little bit of recency bias.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that
that stat of the Maryland over Princeton's kind of got us going a little bit with the numbers.
Right. Right. I mean, again, you're looking at 2 premier programs, guys that do get it done in May. They're built to get championship weekend. I don't know. I mean, we saw Maryland get screwed a couple of years ago with that ghost goal against Virginia at Hofstra. Maryland doesn't want to play at Hofstra. I feel like they get a little nightmares, boogeyman back there. But
I didn't think about that.
Oh my gosh,
I forgot.
That was
about
probably
that.
That's
Tillman's,
the
ghost
only
of
other time
Tillman.
they didn't make championship weekend was on the pipe call.
The ghost
and
of
last
Tillman.
year,
the ghost of Tillman.
I like that. All right, voicemail number 3. Let's do it.
Yo, Mitch, hot take of the week. You're probably going to be airing this on Thursday when I'm correct. Lehigh over Hopkins. Russell Melendez is a fraud that makes TikToks and cares about his earrings over scoring goals. Book it, Mountain Hawks. I'm going to say 11-7 Mountain Hawks.
Dude, is that Nestler?
No.
It sounds exactly like him.
No. That wasn't Nestler.
Okay, coming from the roof.
I think that was just Russell Melendez's biggest hater.
Yeah, jeez.
Why is he taking shots on Melendez?
I'm a big Melendez fan. Obviously making TikToks. I've definitely got chirped for that on the field once or twice.
You with the kitty cat TikTok back in the day?
Yeah, the kitty cat TikTok. I don't want to say pull it up.
Can we pop that on the screen?
It's
the
kitty cat
killer
TikTok.
Send that. It's just me doing a dance in a tank top.
You don't want to see it.
I want to see
COVID.
They'll pop it up. They'll pop it up.
It was sad. But Melendez, TikTok earring. I mean, I'm a big fan. We've obviously met him. Great guy. Obviously, that call is wrong. Hopkins obviously did win, but that was a sleeper game from last week.
Yeah. I think Lehigh did exactly what they needed to do to kind of pull off that upset. If you told Lehigh that's how the game was going to go down, they'd probably be like, okay, we'll have a shot at the end. I mean, obviously, the 4-0 run to kind of close out that game closed any hope. But
Yeah.
I thought that was Lehigh's game plan. Muck it up, slow it down, exactly what you said, cut possessions in half.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely Lehigh's thing. I think this guy's the biggest Melendez hater. He did have no points, but Hopkins is moving on, so he's in the quarterfinal now.
Yeah.
And watch now. Melendez, if you're out there, watch this clip.
Yeah, come on, TikTok boy.
And
Yeah, I know.
let's see you prove this guy wrong.
I know, because
Yeah.
after the game, maybe if you guys win, you're hitting a little TikTok dance, flashing the earring in the fans, maybe.
Yeah.
We'll see.
We'll
I'm
see.
excited.
Take off
though.
the helmet, probably get like a 3-minute unreleasable because nobody knows what those rules are. Like,
Yeah.
He's
seriously,
going to bling
from
the
refs.
earring on the field, get unsportsmanlike. He's going to be like, Mitchell Pehlke show, watch it. It's free press.
Free press. I love that. All right, let's go number 4, last voicemail of the day. Again, if you guys want to join, call the number on the screen, leave a voicemail of your wildest take, and it will get played on the show.
Mitchell, hey, Joey O here. How you doing? We got to discuss something real quick. Can we talk about the career turnaround of your boy, Mr. Craig Allen? My goodness. This kid was a total squid at Ohio State. Couldn't find the field if you gave him a road map and a pair of binoculars. Oh, my goodness. Didn't even touch the field. Decides to take his act on the road to the Bronx, and he's got the Jaspers within one game of the big dance. Oh, my goodness. Did the Buckeyes make a mistake by never playing this kid? Who knows? He had to get away from some bad influences out there in Columbus. He had that Pehlke kid driving him crazy. He had Garrett the Grinch Nielsen driving him up a wall. You take him to the Bronx, you give him some froyo. My goodness, has this kid been on fire? My goodness, we all want to be like him. Mr. Craig Allen with an epic season. Almost put the Jaspers back in the dance. God bless him and God bless America.
Wow. I mean, best voicemail yet. Do we think that accent was real?
I don't know if he was trying to do the Italian aspect or what. That was funny.
For the fans out there, Craig Allen is James Hogan. We made a video out of Ohio State where we had a fake recruit, and he was a ESPN broadcaster with the name Craig Allen. They're talking about Hoagie. And let's clap it up on the career real quick. I mean, from Ohio State to Manhattan, the kid turned it up in the Bronx.
Yes, sir.
I love that.
That guy's
this is one of my favorite segments.
All-time
We
juice
always
for my
do.
guy right there. I love that.
Big shout out. I don't really know if there's anything to really talk about that.
I think the froyo definitely helped
the
out.
froyo. Explain to the fans the froyo.
Yeah, so my girlfriend now, I took her on a date to froyo. Got chirped for it a lot because they said it was a pretty high school of me, which looking back on it.
Hey, he's got a girlfriend now.
It
Pehlke's
was
still
pretty
single.
high school, but yeah, took her to froyo, and it kind of just, the vlogs were
The
doing
froyo legend. The comment section of the college vlogs were a little intense. But guess what? You're the one laughing. You're the one laughing. Would you doing that back in college?
Yeah, I would do that in middle school.
See, that's the hate. And looking back on it, I should have taken her to dinner.
Yeah. Maybe
Thankfully,
like a nice,
she
steak.
was my girlfriend, so it all worked
just want
out.
ice
It all
cream.
worked out.
Yeah, he
It
just
all
wanted
worked
ice
out.
cream.
I don't know. I think I was just into froyo that day. I don't know.
Yeah, you're
I'd love
feeling
to see
it.
her
You're feeling it.
reaction, though.
You're
I know
feeling
she
it.
was kind of like,
I know
froyo,
James Hogan like no one else does. How nervous were we before the date?
pretty nervous.
We call him the fire starter, and if you guys notice, anytime he gets excited or laughs, he goes like this with his hands. How many times were we doing that before the date?
I don't think we were doing that many. I was just so nervous. My mouth was really dry. I remember. I was like, bro.
What's like a conversation starter, Hogan, on a first date? Like if I'm the honey, like what are we talking
Honestly,
about?
I remember she told me I was just pacing around the ice cream dispensers, which if you know me, I pace
You're
around
so
a lot.
nervous. I would have loved.
So I'm just
the
like,
video of that.
Time out. You went to self-serve froyo.
Yeah.
That is so much better for some reason. Like both of you next to each other, like
Like
ooh.
picking out
I think
toppings
I was
and
doing
Let me get
the,
s'mores,
to
let me
buy
get twist.
time and kind of fill the room. I think I was like samples, just like sampling stuff. And then I think I went ham on toppings because I think I just kept like waiting for her to go ahead of me so that I could pay for it. So I was just like loading every topping imaginable.
Hey, that was first date.
Yeah.
First girlfriend, and how's it going?
It's going fantastic.
Yeah,
she's
exciting.
the best.
Any
She's the
tips
best.
for
It's
me
awesome.
on how to get a girlfriend?
Yeah, go to froyo.
Yeah, go to froyo.
Go to froyo.
Like the kids of the camp, they tell me what Mitchell Pehlke Lacrosse experience. They
Yeah.
said they took girls to froyo, so
And they're
it's
now,
a movement now.
It's a movement. We might get that on a T-shirt. All right, let's keep that going. Last segment of the day, we got PLL Roundup. Dukes, take us away.
Yeah, so last week was the draft, right, boys?
Yeah.
And this past week, you might have missed it. Some players got claimed. Some players got signed. Claimed is like when you get someone from the player pool.
Yep.
Signed is like a veteran or someone that
Like
was
Sterling
in the,
was claimed.
Right, exactly.
Obviously, Rob Piniella is signed.
Right, and then you got people like the New York Atlas, right? They claimed Tucker Garrity, Peyton Cormier, Devin McLean, Lance Tillman, Jake Cap. Personally, I love what the Atlas did here. I think pairing Cormier up, we alluded to it earlier, Cormier up with Shelley, Teat, and Xander, that makes sense, right? Could you guys see Cormier taking over that third crease spot? Do you guys think that out of the box? What's the best role for Cormier to succeed?
I think they run him out of the box. He's such a good off-ball guy. I think they kind of run him out of the box.
No, I just don't think he's that type of player. I mean, we've seen it in the past 4 years.
I just don't know his dodging style. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think he has a dodging style.
That's what I'm saying. I think
that's why I think you run him out of the box.
Honestly, a guy like Teat, I like out of the box.
Yeah, it's going to be.
I just don't think
good, though.
This kind of goes back to the comment that Kirk made about guys playing their position. I just don't think you can take Teat off the field.
You can't.
No,
so you can't run him out of the box.
for Teat Sitchy, a guy obviously in great shape, I would just say he's running with the first and second line if it's not a long possession.
I love Shelley.
Yeah,
friend of the program. Just because Shelley's the new bright toy does not mean he's going to be the brightest, best toy. We're still talking about Jeff Teat here. So,
all right, let's talk about this then. Who's the starting attack, or who finished the starting attack? Obviously, Chris Gray's gone, but who's the attack without the draft picks right now for the Atlas?
I think I throw Cormier down there.
You're gonna throw Cormier? You think Cormier down there?
Yeah, I think you have.
You see it in the record, right? Give him the ball in the crease, he's put in the back of the net. Yeah, it's simple.
Who cares if he has a shorty on him? It doesn't matter how you want to guard him. When you got Shelley, his best friend, and again, are we going to call Peyton Cormier a system attackman? Is he only scoring when he has Connor Schellenberger? I'm not saying that, but we will. And also playing off another Canadian in Jeff Teat. I think he's with the two best people on the field that he could possibly succeed with. Yeah. If he doesn't succeed with this line, I don't know if he has much of a future in the field game because that he's going into the perfect scenario.
That's true.
Maybe one of the only teams that I feel comfortable for Peyton Cormier to succeed with.
I think Shelley's going to make such a good job. I think he's going to be amazing this year.
Yeah.
I think he's going to have no hiccups coming in. I think he's going to come in and kind of start where he left off at UVA.
Yeah. Last pickup I love it that the Atlas did, Devin McLean.
Yeah, I like that.
The Notre Dame guy.
He's going back to Notre Dame.
He is.
So he won't be available this year.
Oh, wow. I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Are
really?
we 100% on that?
I'm 99% sure
because this will be embarrassing if this is wrong.
No, I mean, I thought the same thing.
Well, he has the COVID year, which was our freshman year, and then the Ivy did not play the second year, so he does have the extra year.
Maybe he's not using it. I couldn't see a team wanting to claim him if they're not going to get him.
Yeah. And that's the same thing too with Jacob from Army getting claimed by the Archers.
Yeah.
How does that work?
Yeah, I think we'll leave that to Dukes, the PLL claim expert.
Yeah, I'm not even the claim expert. I know more than most, but I don't really understand. I think if you claim someone and then you go back to school, they kind of go back to the pool for next summer. You can get drafted. I know, like Levi Anderson, for example, got drafted last year because he's in between if he's going to come back or not. Yeah. Then he got drafted this year. So when you go back to school, you kind of
drafted and you go back to school. That team doesn't own you.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh wow, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I like that.
Archers had some pickups. They got Jacob Morin, Justin Wiedfeldt. I love that pickup.
Yeah,
to pair him up with Sis, I think is a great. Jack DiBenedetto is one of my favorite defenders from Denver.
Yep.
And then Jack Van Overbeek definitely messed that up. But here's where the Archers, those guys got claimed, right? Signed players, Nick Cardile, Penn State defender, Tate Gallagher, Eric Peters. And then Graham Hossack, big news, is on the holdout list.
Wow.
One of the best defenders in the PLL.
Yeah.
So monitor that situation.
Yeah.
That's big shoes to fill.
Yeah, this is huge news. And I know I said it in the first episode, but again, to you guys, to make a PLL roster, it's so hard.
It's so hard.
8 teams in 22 active rosters.
Yeah, 22 active, and then you have the 3 on the reserves.
So we're talking 25 times 8, whatever that number is. Dayton Club Lacrosse legend. It's hard to make a roster. It's so hard. And you see, same thing here. He's put on the holdout because these new kids, each class is just getting harder and harder.
And then you're looking at what the Cannons did, right? They claimed Carter Parlett, Andrew Cook, Mike Robinson, Sterling Hupp. Personally, I think Mike Robinson's the best shooter maybe in the draft. He's an absolute sniper.
I think that the Delaware is the same thing as like a Denver aspect where they just don't get that much praise. So these guys are kind of underrated.
Right, CAA, they're like 100%. A one-bid league for the most part.
I love the CAA, by the way.
Right, gritty guys. Delaware has had some studs in the past couple of years. But yeah, Carter Parlett, I love watching, obviously at Notre Dame. But here's what interested me. The Cannons are thinking outside the box. They go D3 and club.
Oh.
So they got the D3 kid, Andrew Cook from Christopher Newport. And then you got Sterling Hupp from Texas.
People say raise the banner, Mitch. You said raise the Cannons banner last week.
I like what the Cannons are doing.
Look, I'm a Whips guy till I die. Maryland. From. Let's not forget
Steven Zoop.
Steven Zoop.
And then looking ahead at like kind of what other teams are doing, like the Chaos. I think they're completely rebranding who they are. What do you guys think of their moves? Who they've drafted? They're moving away from this Canadian style. They're looking to get
let's not
more two-handed
talk
players.
about those first couple years when the league started. Like it was basically a Canadian team,
right?
On that squad. I'm big on Jack Posey. He's from my area where we grew up. Struggled this year. I don't know if technically got back to full recovery.
He was injured. He was injured from the ACL.
Tore his ACL, if you remember, last year in the tournament.
In the Army game,
In the Army game. And he's a captain for the guys this year. Great guy, great leader. Didn't play it all this year. If he's 100% healthy, I see him being a guy that plays in the league for a while.
Yeah, and I know Dukes loves it, but I love the Roy Meyer pickup in the middle of the field.
I love it. Yeah.
I think he's just a guy who can run. He score. He's just so physical, and he's good with his stick. I think he's just a good addition. I like what the Chaos did in the draft. They got Shane Knobloch. They got
Ross Scott
as well.
Dobson.
So they took the Rutgers guys. And then even looking at Dylan Hess, that's another great pickup.
Great. He's on the holdout list, which is interesting to monitor as well. But he's one of my favorite short 60 middies.
And I love Andy Towers, so I'm a big Andy Towers guy.
legit.
He's a juice guy.
Yeah.
If anyone's going to get the boys going. The Chaos have that team, too, that, they've had a horrible record. I think, what do they have, 2 PLL championships? Or they've made the championship twice as, a high seed.
Yeah.
I know they've won at least one, but... Yeah, no, I think what the Chaos is building is something special down there for sure.
Yeah, it's just completely shifting. Then we're going to look at what the Outlaws did. You think they had the best draft?
I do, yes.
I love what they did outside of the draft. They claimed Dalton Young, a Richmond kid, who I really liked seeing. Mac Costin.
Yeah.
Sam Alexiou, Eli Fisher, Colin Krieg.
Yeah.
Now, before asking you guys, I loved Colin Krieg.
Yeah.
I think as a UNC kid, his first year, he was on the Final Four team. The last time, Bresci wasn't on the hot seat. I thought Colin Krieg was one of the best goalies in the country.
Yep.
He's had to go through a lot of changes at the defense. Young defense, had to be a leader, had to shift from being the young guy on the freshman team with a veteran defense around him to then being the leader.
Yeah.
So I think him going into the situation, the talent's there. I still think the talent's there for him.
I like the Matt Costin call a lot.
Love.
Again, I'll say it again. If you're a guy in the league that can play attack and midi, your stock's so much higher than a normal cat.
Yeah.
And I love the way he plays. He's all over the field, and I think, again, it just helps out, a team like the Outlaws that you can put Mac anywhere.
Definitely. I love the Sam Alexiou move.
Yeah.
If you watched their game last night.
Yeah.
He was
It was sick.
running after guys at the midfield when they're trying to sub. He was just motor was high. And then going back on your Krieg point, I feel like Krieg's the guy who's going to come into camp on day one. Doesn't say much. He's going to put his head down, and he's just going to ball out for them. I don't think he's going to play at first because you got that big man, Sean Scanoni, leading the way, the legend. The NHL legend. Remember him in the dorms at Albany?
Yeah.
So we got Scanoni there. But I think Krieg's kind of a guy who, no one's going to notice, and then you're going to see him start a game or two out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Maybe this year, maybe next year. And I think he'll be a mainstay in the league.
So going off exactly what you just said with Sean Scanoni, the UMass kid, the legend, let's talk about what the Redwoods did.
Yep.
Redwoods, I was very critical of Nat. I want to say that I see the vision now. I liked his pickups.
Tell the fans. So
I
last
love the
week,
Jaeger
it
move.
was
I love the Jaeger move.
A little probably not the best moves in the draft. You're kind of in win now mode. You're potentially on the hot seat. I'm ready to cool down the temperature after some pickups. I like that he got Matt Note. I think Matt Note could steal a job. I think that Chase Erlin's not a lock to make that roster. I think Matt Note could come in and potentially start.
And your boy, you said it last week. You were surprised Chase Yeager didn't get picked up with the Redwoods now.
And Jake Yeager is the perfect short 60 minute. He was wide open for 5 yards out, tried to cruise crank, absolutely missed.
That lefty shot,
people would be like, that's why he didn't get drafted. I'm like, that's why you draft him.
If I'm a D midi, though, I'm keeping that in my right hand. It was one of those typical where you just put it in your off hand, and it's more just like a he slung it. He slung it.
He was looking for that corner. He was like, I want the highlight tape.
Yeah, I love that.
And then I loved that they got Chris Conlon, the defender from Notre Dame.
Yeah.
He was a Holy Cross kid, gritty, athletic, like him a lot. And then Jake Naso, face-off kid.
Naso.
You having Naso as the backup to TD?
Yeah.
I like Naso a lot.
Yeah.
He's, a guy
do you think it worries them about kind of the injury he's going with right now? Or do you think he'll be fine?
I just don't think he's fully healthy at the current moment.
Right, and you don't really need him this summer.
You don't really need him this summer. I think he's a guy who's got quick hands. He's started 4 years there. He's won over 1,000 faceoffs at Duke. He's a mainstay. That's just a guy you kind of want. I think it's good to see teams, as a faceoff guy myself, kind of adding guys like Naso, Outlaws adding Weirman, kind of adding backup guys, because I think that's such a smart move to have a guy like Weedfeld, Stathakis, as we'll get in a minute, rather than just your face-off guy goes down or he's got something, he can't make it. and you're going to the waiver wire.
Yeah.
And you're just pulling anybody, and then it's, especially with polls not being able now to take face-offs,
Right.
you can't just put anyone up there for a week. TD's out this week. Put a poll up there.
Yeah.
So.
It's just you put Chase Yeager there.
Yeah. Please replay that clip of him slinging a lefty 1,000 times.
The Water Dogs.
Yeah.
Bill Tierney's first time claiming people off the wire. Nepotism at its finest. Just picking only Denver people. Is this kind of messed up?
Hey, he sees it. He sees it. The writing's on the wall. Oh, I love it, though.
Bill
I
Tierney.
love it.
I think something to watch out for with Bill Tierney. Can he get Connor Cannizzaro out of retirement?
Yeah.
Is he just going to pick up?
I don't know. Like, honestly, I think we're going to start to see more of that in the sport of lacrosse, of these cats coming out of retirement.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like these guys, I don't want to say they're retiring too early, but again, it's just so hard to make a roster that sometimes they can't make a roster for a year or two, and that's really all she wrote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the wives are also pulling the leash a little
Yeah,
bit there
yeah,
once you
yeah,
get up
yeah,
in age.
Yeah, they're like, you got to come with us to Froyo.
Yeah. You two. I mean, you two have girlfriends, right?
Yeah.
Both you guys.
Yeah.
God, I got to get on the train here.
We'll get you one.
Yeah, help me out.
Yeah, we'll go to
we get
Froyo.
Mitch?
We'll just hang out at Froyo. That's
I'll
another
say
video.
this.
Mitch gets a date at Froyo.
Can we get Mitch and Mooby on a date? Can we set that up?
Oh,
Can we set
she's
that
around the
up?
corner. We'll get her.
No, come
Once
on.
she-
Dude, can
no,
you
yeah,
look that up
we'll
at
get
Barstool?
please.
Can we make a video of
Yeah,
that?
let's do it. That sounds like a good idea.
So after Georgetown goes to the Final Four, we'll shave Duke's head, and Mooby will be there helping me shave his head.
All right, so
That'll be first
you
date.
and Mooby will shave Duke's head after
yeah.
Georgetown.
While Mitch is shaving my head, you got the Froyo ready for them.
I'll make sure to get
Froyo.
We're putting 1,000 topics.
I'll go
like
to
those.
16 handles.
Yeah,
with you guys.
Doesn't matter what you put on, babe. It could be $17 for that ice cream.
I love that.
And
all
right,
lastly, my squad.
the whip stakes.
The whip stakes.
Maryland whip
They
stakes.
killed it again, I think.
They won the offseason. They won the
Stags.
offseason.
You can't go against Stags.
Just a legend. Just, what guys at that age do you still see have slick back white hair?
Yeah.
That just still look good.
Yeah, he's a
Just
legend.
Like a legend.
He's a beast. He's like one of the only coaches that every time it's like I'm in the hotel or something with the PLL and like walk by him, he gives me like a shiver down my spine. Just scary guy. I don't know why. I feel like he's like
Yeah, a little
legitimately
intimidating,
he's-
yeah.
I feel like he's legitimately my coach, but great guy.
Yeah.
Won the offseason in my opinion. Getting Will Mark, who I think should have been drafted.
Yeah, definitely.
Scott Cole, a guy who played against Hopkins yesterday for Lehigh. I think he should be drafted. Grant House.
Yeah.
Short stick teammate. I think all three of them could have been drafted. I think they got like the biggest stump out of the draft they added depth at the short stick teammate position. What did you guys think of these pickups?
I truly think, the whips won the offseason, definitely the claims aspect. It was so big from the same aspect of, the whips are going to be a team I truly think that are going to be, very long in the summer.
Who's more back, Hughes, Hop, or the whips?
I think were the whips the
Wait a minute. Wait, this is big. I think we can't compare them because of tradition, but I truly see the whips being in the
Aren't
Final
the whips
Four.
like one of the bottom teams favorite? Are they
Whoa,
I think they shot back up. They were low on the odds. I think
I think it goes Redwoods then whips.
yeah. So they're at the bottom.
I was just saying that because you're a
Ooh,
Whips guy.
Did they shoot up?
Shot.
Yeah, they
I
shot
think
up.
they shot
That's
up.
what we do. Like that's what my team
They were
does.
at the bottom 2 weeks ago, dude.
Second best.
Second
Who's
best.
the
then.
worst? Redwoods.
The California Redwoods.
That's fine.
That's your squad.
Hot
is my
seat,
squad.
hot seat, hot seat, hot seat, hot seat.
Hey,
Get your hot seat here.
I'm a Nat fan. We had Nat.
Get your hot seats here.
Nat used to come to our Buckeye lacrosse practices. Remember? He would sit in the field.
He's a legend, though.
I did watch a game. I watched the Redwoods game, 2019 quarterfinals.
Yeah.
At Columbus Stadium.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of Redwoods fans.
Yeah. How was
in
Columbus though for you, Dukes?
I mean, yeah, it's like probably.
I
yeah.
could see you raising a family there.
I actually like Columbus.
Yeah,
it's
sick.
like probably like a top 2 city.
Yeah.
Like it's like
Top
Dayton
two,
and
not
Columbus.
two. Oh,
Yeah.
Sad. All right. Well, that wraps up episode
Really
2.
quick?
Yeah.
Really quick.
Yeah.
I just need one guy to get picked up. One guy that
Ew.
got snubbed from the claim wires, and it needs to
Still.
be out there. Yeah. James Shipley, pick him up. There is nothing makes sense to me than a two-way midi, someone that can stay on the field, a workhorse, an athlete, and a multi-time captain. What's the worst of just putting him on a training
Okay.
roster?
Now let's say this. Let's say Will Shipley's career doesn't end well for the Eagles or in the league. Do we see him coming to the PLL?
See, this is why you got to get James. I totally agree with that stance. Bronny officially going to the NBA.
Yeah.
Breaking news.
Do we see him in the PLL?
Yeah, Bronny's whole thing is whatever team drafts Bronny, LeBron will go to. Whatever team drafts James Shipley, you'll get Will Shipley.
Wow, I like that call.
It's a
I
lot
like
of free
that call.
press
I like
right
that
there.
call. It's a good way to end it. Episode 2, the Mitchell Pehlke Lacrosse Show, presented by STX, is Dunzo. Any last words for the fans out there?
Great show. Excited for this week's games. And I guess we'll know if Dukes' head's getting shaved in a couple days
I
here.
know we'll know soon.
He's sweating. He doesn't look like he is, but he is.
The Manscaped is on the Charger back home in Virginia right now. And be on the lookout for the Brendan O'Neill Through X episode coming out tomorrow, Thursday. Super excited for that. And as you guys know, Professor Dukes finishes with a fun fact.
First off, rest in peace. Moment of silence for Cabrini.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, Matt Nessler, the real legend.
Shout out, Nest. Here's a fun fact. Cabrini finishes their entire program undefeated in conference play since 2001. They won 23 consecutive conference titles.
Wow. Say it like
breaking news live from Ty Xanders is Michael Gianfrancaro from Princeton is transferring to UNC.
Wow, folks. That's huge. That's huge, Dukes. Mr. Fire Bresci over there.
It looks like Bresci's alive.
What's his excuse? What's his excuse next year? What are we going to give him?
They must have sat him down and been like, Bresci, one last ride Cabrini style.
Yeah.
And he goes, I'm hitting that portal hard.
Yeah, hit that portal hard. So they got, oh my God, the Italians down there at UNC. What are you going to say if UNC goes to the championship weekend next year?
What am I going to say? I will admit when I'm wrong.
Okay.
And you know what? Congrats. That'd probably be the worst thing for them because then it's just 7 more years of mediocrity. Different standards for different programs.
I love it.
Duke reloads, and Duke reloads talent. You know what UNC does? Reloads excuses.
Really, folks. Dukes, double zeros, the Barstool Jab. We'll see you guys next episode.